Yes, Dharini, please start. Okay. Mr. Vismay, are we ready? Can we start?
Hello.
Yes, Mr. Vismay, just give us 1 minute.
Sure.
Dharini is starting. I'm very sorry for the delay.
So, hello and good afternoon, everyone. I'm Dharin Devi Thakur, and I'm here to introduce a guest speaker for today's webinar on tips and tricks for pursuing LLM from foreign universities. Every year, a number of law students from around the country elect to further their education at a foreign university. Whatever the motivation, the choice to pursue a master's degree abroad is a serious one that is made after much thinking and deliberation. Unfortunately, an applicant's problems do not end here. In fact, individuals who vote yes will face a slew of difficulties and barriers. It's like a Pandora's box, and it's best not to open it. Having stated that, every academic year, candidates face challenges and work to achieve their goals. They do everything that is required and do the best of their skills. They seek assistance from seniors, teacher guidance, and peer advice. And today we have with us Mr. Vismay Malkan, who is here to provide his guidance to those who are in search of a guide that can provide them with some valuable insights on how they should work upon their dream to pursue LLM in foreign countries. Now, giving a brief about our guest speaker today. As a provisionally licensed lawyer in California, Mr. Vismay Malkan is eligible to practice law. He's also licensed to practice law as an independent attorney in India. His interest mainly lies in the field of litigation. Currently, he is working with Beckman, Feller, and Chang PC as an associate. His duties include drafting motions for summary judgment, opposition to the motion for summary judgment, these agreements, and other various documents required during litigation. He has independently argued around 80 matters before the Gujarat High Court in India. Important cases among them include favorable judgment in the habeas corpus for an adult girl who was restricted to live with her boyfriend. He also holds a dual master's in law, UC Berkeley School of Law and Gujarat National Law University. He is a person who knows the whole history of how we got to where we are today, the stories, the challenges, and the little known secrets. Not only that, but he is a very entertaining speaker. Please join me in giving a very warm welcome to Mr. Vismay Malkan.
Thank you, Dharini, for that introduction. And I was working with Beckman, Feller, and Chang. Now I am remotely associated with the firm to their little research or any assistant with drafting. But I have recently moved back to India. And so I'll be continuing my practice here in India. That was a little thing. But thank you so much for introducing me and allowing me to give my insights on my experience on how to pursue and what are the tips and tricks to get into LLM course in a foreign university. And just because this webinar is mainly focusing on a foreign university, don't restrict your question to that. If you are interested to pursue LLM from India as well, please feel free to ask that to me. And starting with basic question, like whether you should do an LLM or not from a foreign university. I'll go with the generic answer. It depends, as we all have heard it a lot in most of the questions. And I'm sure you, being a law student now, you understand very well that things are not so black and white, and it really depends on what are the facts and circumstances. So let me be clear over here that doing an LLM from a foreign university is not the only way to achieve your goals, or is not something which you must do, but is a good experience. It was a good experience for me, and if it's possible, you should do it. So when I say it depends, I mainly focus on two categories. Like try to answer it yourself, whether is it feasible according to the financial situation. So pursuing LLM from a foreign university is not a easy task, and getting and scholarship or getting a financial assistance is something which one should consider while applying for a foreign university. And the second thing which I would uh, like you to focus on deciding whether to pursue LLM or not is, what are your goals? What are your ultimate goals? Your goal should not be that I want to do an LLM. Your goal should be, I want to do a corporate job. I want to be in parliamentary. I want to settle myself, or I want to see myself practicing in a foreign court or something like that. So if that's your goal, then that will make it easier for you to answer whether you should do an LLM from a foreign university or not. So yeah, go with these two questions. What are your goals, and whether it is possible for you to do financially or afford financially. I would not suggest anyone to take hefty loan and with the hopes that going there will recover everything, whatever you are investing right now. It's really difficult. So if your goal is to settle outside the country, or to move out of India and want to work outside India in the legal field, then doing an LLM is the most traveled path. But while this is something which you should consider, you should also consider what are the visa and immigration policies of that country where you are trying to move and settle. So doing an LLM will not be the only thing where you can get yourself settled in a foreign country. You should focus on what are the visa situation, what after you finish your masters from that university. So I can mainly answer those questions related to California and US regulations and policies. So United States of America allows a foreign master graduate student to work on an optional practical training program for 12 months. After that, you need to have a work visa. Work visa, they usually call it as H1b visa. You might have heard, or you might have researched it. So H1b visa is basically, how do they allot this work visa? Getting a work visa is purely on luck. It doesn't depend on your qualification. It doesn't depend on your job. It doesn't depend on anything else than your luck. So usually they allow 85,000 applicants to work in the United States for any given financial year. Selecting those 85,000 applicants, they take a pool of around, last year there were applications of around 300,000 employers. So 300,000 employers send application to the immigration department that we want to hire this foreign graduate or foreign trained or foreign citizen, foreign national person in our company, and these are the qualifications. Then they don't have any other way to select other than random selection process. Random selection process is basically a lottery. So it could be that out of 300,000, your name might get selected, might not get selected. If your name has not been selected, it will be very difficult to stay in the same country. So consider this before just thinking that I want to move to the US. And as many of those who are settled in the US have pursued their masters in the US, this is the best way to move to the US. No, that won't be so easy. The other factors which would be considered while you are to get a job in the US would be whether you are qualified to practice law or not in your own country. So that would make you eligible to take their bar examination. I'm sure you don't want to do any other work than as a lawyer when you are trying to pursue a master's from the foreign university. So let us start with our question. Uh, let us start with the question whether you should do it or not. So as I said, it depends. Now, if you have decided that, yes, I want to do it, then what should be the next question? The next question should be when to do it. As per my advice, I would say that as per my experience, I would say that don't start or don't try to do it at least before, like after graduation from your first degree of law, after your graduation over here, try to work for at least 2 years. Try to identify your passion, your interest in the area of law. What we have studied in those 5 years were only 3 to 4 months a course. For example, in intellectual property laws, you might have studied a brief about how to register a trademark, what are the patent requirements, what are the copyright registration process, what subject matter falls under the copyright. But you really don't know whether you like to register trademark or not, whether you like to represent trademark matters or not. So try to gain that experience after your law school. Don't just because you scored some good grades in your law school in intellectual property or in arbitration or in any other subject. Don't try to pursue that as your career goal or as your master's specialization. You should be able to, yeah, it really helps that if you have a good grades, it helps in getting an admission in the foreign university. But it's not the only way to get a that's not the only factor which they consider while giving admission. They consider what are your work experience in that field and why do you want to do masters and with a specialization in that field. So try to research about the university, about the course, the professors who are teaching those courses. Why do you want to study that course with the same professor? It happens that in the foreign university, for example, in Berkeley itself, some courses are being taught in alternative years. For example, patent litigation 2, that teach that in even years. So if you are applying for the odd years, you won't be able to pursue that course. Berkeley, no doubt, has its reputation as the #1 university for IP in tech law and certificate. But then the question would be whether you are doing your, whether you are studying the courses which really interest you or not. So when to apply, try to find that within the 2 years when you work after the law school. Try to join the office. After joining the law office, you will understand whether you love the course or not. So that would be the one aspect to consider. Having said that, many law schools, many law universities, for example, Stanford and Columbia, do not accept the application if you have not completed 2 years of work, if you have not worked for at least 2 years after your graduation. They specifically mention on their website application process that if you have not worked for 2 years, we rarely select, and please do not apply unless you gain the experience, unless you are an eligible applicant. So that's because they understand that students who are freshly graduate, they do not really know. And while when they are moving to a different country, there are other things to be taken care of. And studying the courses which they really do not know that they are interested in it or not, they will try to hustle in it and they won't succeed as their career goal they have decided for themselves. So try to make a subject as your passion and then apply for a university. So try to invest 2 years in this. Now, this is the one thing which I'll suggest. The second thing I'll suggest is what to keep in mind, how to apply. How to apply. So how to apply, what are the steps to apply for a foreign master's? There are every university has their own website, their own admission department. Don't do not try to avoid, do not try to fall into the same trap which every year, like for 1,000 applications, there will be around 600 applications where they have generic material for all the law schools. So applicants do not try to change the name of the course, do not try to change the name of the university, and they apply to all the university with the same generic format. Do not do this. So usually there are five important documents which are required to be submitted. 2 letter of recommendation, 1 personal statement, 1 curriculum vichai, and for Harvard University, there is a small write-up on the subject which you are interested in. So these 5 documents are the most important documents to get you an admission offer from that university you are doing. Now, when you are writing a personal statement, or you are requesting for a letter of recommendation, or you are writing for an area of subject in which you are interested to pursue LLM, you should be clear with those things, what should go inside and what should not be included. Many students try to do this, like they will try to put all the resume information into the personal statement and they will not put any new or additional information. As UC Berkeley admission department always suggests that try to show us your personality through the personal statement. Do not tell us your education, from where did you study. Do not tell us where did you work for last 2 years. Do not tell us your name or anything. Yeah, give those information in 1 or 2 lines. Like, my name is so and so, and I am applying for the master's at UC Berkeley. Now, in the remaining portion, try to utilize that space to understand to explain them that how your personality fits with their university. So try to show them that what cases, try to give them an example on what cases have you already worked on. So if you are interested in arbitration law, you must say that in the past 2 years, I have worked on a various arbitration dispute, and that's where I really found my interest in this field. So you should give an example. For example, on a matter where I was working, the matter, how big the matter is not important. What you did in that matter really matters to the admission department to decide whether to accept the application or not. So try to show, or if you have worked in arbitration sector and if you find that something has not been dealt in our country and is an ongoing issue in the other countries. For example, if you are in intellectual property, if you are applying for intellectual property law, you understand that now cryptocurrency and all those currencies are, all those laws are gray areas in over here. So now when you are applying for UC Berkeley, considering it as the best university for technology law, you should mention that you have worked for a few years in intellectual property, and now you want to understand the bitcoins or the cryptocurrency laws in a better aspect. And at your university, XYZ professor teaches this course, which really interests me to apply for your university, apply at your university. Now, once you will do that, they will be able to understand your interest, and they will be able to shortlist you as a someone who is genuinely interested in studying that. Second thing they will consider is letter of recommendation. They have clearly mentioned on their website, UC Berkeley have clearly mentioned on their website that do not try to get a letter of recommendation from an influential person. Like, do not try to get a letter of recommendation from the prime minister or from the president or from the dean of your law school, because they briefly know you. They know you by your name. They do not know your personality. They do not know much about your academic, or they do not know much about your professional experience. Try to get the letter of recommendation from someone who knows you personally. For example, it will be better to get a letter of recommendation from a lecturer who has taught you the course on intellectual property law, rather than to get a letter of recommendation from the dean of your university, because dean will be able to say, yeah, he was regular, he or she was regular, and he or she has earned a good credit in this course. Dean won't be able to explain how dedicated you were in your course, how dedicated or how curious you were in your course to understand the basic nuances of the courses or basic nuances of the law. But the lecturer, on the other hand, can very well describe that you got a good grade in your course, but they will be able to say that, yeah, he or she after our class used to meet me and discuss on the other aspects which were not in the coursework. This will show your curiosity, this will show your inquisitive, and this will help the admission department to understand your passion, to understand your dedication towards the course which you are trying to pursue. Try to get a letter of recommendation from your senior rather than to get a letter of recommendation from the partner of the law firm. For example, if you are working with one of the big law firm and you have connection with the partner, but you are working under the third level from the partner, and he is only supervising your work, and partner doesn't get an opportunity to review your work. Do not try to get a letter of recommendation from the partner. Try to get a letter of recommendation from your immediate supervisor, because he will be able to explain how your writing skills are and how your research skills are. This really matters to them because they want to shortlist a few candidates. And believe me, out when I said that from 1,000 applications, 600 applications are really generic, they are generic. Few students, a few applicants forget to remove the name of the university or replace the name of the university. For example, if they have applied for University of California, Berkeley, they are going to apply for University of California, Los Angeles. They won't proofread it, and they will apply directly with the same personal statement. I'm interested in intellectual property law. Your university stands at #1 in the US, and that's why I want to pursue. They know about their university. They do not want to understand about their university. They want to know about yourself. And when you are writing this generic letter without replacing their name, you are getting rejected at the first letter itself. They are not going to review your resume. Resume comes at the last review section. When they start selection process, they start with the statement of purpose. They move to the letter of recommendation. Then they go to the resume portion. And if everything falls well, then they will ask you about, they will offer you an admission. So this is one thing which you should consider. Also, other things which you should consider while applying is try to reach out to the admission department and make clarifications if you have any doubt. For example, many students or applicants have this misconception that TOEFL or IELTS scores are essential to apply for the foreign university. And unless you are getting good scores, you cannot apply for the foreign university. Trust me, most of the university waive this scores For example, Harvard University does not require TOEFL or IELTS score if your education is fully in English. UC Berkeley does not require TOEFL or IELTS score if you have done your first degree in law in English. National University of Singapore waives this course. So there are top universities who waive this course, who waive this requirement for you if you have done or if you have fulfilled it by any other medium. So try to approach them, try to make this clarification, and they are really responsive. If you will send an email, they will respond back within 2 days, and they will give you all the details on how to move forward. You don't have to apply through any consultancy. You don't have to pay any other fees than the required application fees. So usually there is $85 application fee for every university application. But now when you are applying through Law School Admission Council, every university requires $85 application fee. You can request to university that we have already applied at law school. We have already paid $85 to Law School Admission Council. Is it possible for you to waive $85 for your university application process? They might waive that, and they might provide you with a code which will help you to complete your application process. Apart from this, what to keep in mind while, so now let us go back to the pointers, like whether you should apply it or not, apply for the foreign masters or not. If you are applying, then when to apply, how to apply. If you have got an offer from the university, then from the university, then what should you keep in mind before accepting the offer? If you have applied for other universities, do not rush to pay the required deposit of $1,000 to that university. Try to wait for some time, for a period, and try to follow up with the other universities from where you are awaiting your responses. Once you are clear that you want to join the university, then you should move forward with the application fees. Try to do this as quick as possible because there are two aspects. One, visa. Even you are getting an offer of admission from a university, from the top university of that country, there are chances that you might not get visa of that country, or you might not be able to get an appointment for the visa interview. For example, usually courses starts in August, and all the embassies, there are only 4 embassies in the United States in India, and all the embassies have a huge rush during these periods from May to July. From May to July, there are a number of students who are applying for visa, and it's really difficult to get an appointment. So it's really important that you apply at the university as early as possible. Do not wait for the deadline to approach, or do not wait for any other thing. If you have decided that you want to do it, apply as soon as possible. When you apply, after you apply, try to get an assistance from their immigration department on how to move forward with the visa issue, how to move forward with the visa procedure. They will help you, they will guide you. Once you are done with the visa and you are and before you move to the country, you should try to get in touch with the students who have passed out from that university. So if you have selected any university X and you are going to start your academic career from the August, and you have 2 months over here, what you should mainly focus on was during this 2 months will be, first, try to reach out to the students and ask them what courses they took, what were the difficulties they have faced, how did they find accommodation, how was their experience, and how should you move forward with your studies of 9 months over there. So they will be able to guide you better than anyone else. Universities have their own department for housing department, immigration department, admission department. But when you are moving as a student, it's better to get an experience or to understand their difficulties directly from their mouth. Second thing which I'll suggest you while before moving to the other country would be try to second thing which I'll suggest to you before moving to the other country is that try to find your accommodation and try to sort it out before you move. Do not take it as a temporary. So what was the biggest mistake that I made in joining Berkeley was I took a temporary accommodation for 1 month. That was in the August month. But that was because I got my visa in July and I had to take care of other things like packing and everything. So the biggest mistake I made was that I took an accommodation for the August month, and after going over there, I was busy in looking for apartments. So it was really difficult for me to focus on the courses, to accommodate or to adjust with the lifestyle and to accommodate with the university culture and everything else, and simultaneously find an accommodation. So I was 1 month behind with among my friends, and I was not able to cope up for the first semester. Do not make this mistake. Try to get an accommodation before you move to the foreign country. Then, if once you are over there, after 1 or 2 months, try to develop connections with the professionals. In the University of California, Berkeley, there is one thing called lunch talk. In lunch talk, usually a speaker will come and they will give a brief uh, discussion on any ongoing issues, for example, artificial intelligence and intellectual property. Now, those speakers are practicing attorney in a big law firms over there. So try to attend those lectures, try to make connections, try to reach out to them on LinkedIn after this session. Try to meet them over the coffee and try to understand their firm's practice. You have got 9 months over there to study. And after 9 months, you will have 90 days to find a job. If you don't find a job, while I'm talking about this thing, I'm mainly focusing on the United States aspect because I am not very well aware about Canada or London. So maybe you can have any other speaker for that reason. But yeah, for the United States, when I'm speaking about the policies, you will get 90 days after 9 months to find a job. If you are not able to find a job within those 90 days, the 1 year which I talked earlier, you won't be able to enjoy that 1 year of optional practical training program. So finding a job within 90 days is a difficult task. Try to make connections from the first day of your law school. Try to make connection with as many people as you can. It might happen that someone who came for the lunch talk might not have any reference, but he will be able to recommend you to join any association where a group of lawyers will be meeting. I was a part of San Francisco Bay Area IP Inn of Court. San Francisco Bay Area IP Inn of Court usually used to meet once in a month over a year. And over there, I used to meet 40 to 50 different lawyers. They used to come together and discuss on any issue and have a dinner together. That's the best way to make connections. That's the best way to understand the practice of the foreign country. So try to make connections from someone who you know. Ask them about the reference. If they give you reference, very well. If they do not, keep trying this through LinkedIn. I came across your profile. Your profile seemed really interesting. I would love to chat over a coffee, and I want to know more about your practice. This is the general email or LinkedIn message which you should write to a professional. You should mention something briefly about yourself, that you have worked in India on the similar aspects. You are studying in the University of California, Berkeley, and you want to know more about the practice. So they will be interested to understand why have you joined masters and what are your future goals. They will love to discuss about their professional experience, and from that you can get some idea on how to move forward. So do not only focus on good grades, when absolutely focus on the good grades, but do not only focus on studies and classes. After studies and classes, try to attend the seminars, try to attend the conferences, try to make connections. This will help you to land a job within 90 days after your graduation. If you are getting A in every subject, and if you are finishing after 9 months, any connection within those 9 months, after 90 days, on the basis of your resume or on the basis of your transcript solely, you won't be able to, I cannot say you won't be able to, it will be difficult to get a job. I'm saying this on my personal experience. Like I I can say that there was corona and that's why people might have moved back. But even otherwise, there is this general ratio. People out of 25, only 5 to 7 students will be staying back in the United States. Other will be coming back, or other will be moving to the other countries, different countries. They came to the United States with a hope that they might be staying in the United States, but then they come back because of not making connections, because of the common faults they usually students usually make. So these are the things which I'll ask you, because one has question I
Thank you, Mr. Vismay. If participants have any question for sir, you can ask them in the chat box and I'll read it out to sir. I think, Mr. Vismay, you have covered more or less everything that might come to our students' mind. So I don't think there is a question.
Yeah, sure. And if anyone has any question, or in future, if anyone has any dilemma on when to apply, or any other question related to how to apply or foreign masters, they are free to reach out to me on LinkedIn, or they are free to reach out to me via an email. I can share my email address over here.
Yes, please, that would be great. I'm sure our students will contact you in future for any help that they might require in their LLM applications.
Sure.
I'll also share this email ID with my students. Thank you so much, Mr. Vismay, for taking time out of your busy schedule and explaining the intricacies of LLM applications in foreign universities to the students of our university. We are very grateful that you took this webinar and cleared a lot of doubts that our students might face in their LLM applications. And we look forward to many more guest lectures from you in future as well.
It was really a pleasure to speak to the students, and I really hope that my advices might come a useful tool to the students for their foreign applications.
Definitely, sir. Thank you so much. And we look forward to see you in our university soon.
Sure.
We can end this webinar, sir, now.
Yes.
Thank you so much.